Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. It is Friday, TGIF, and I wanted to let you know I am here with one of my dearest friends, Manny Garcia. He's with American Clean Energy Solar, and we are putting on a workshop next week, March 22nd at 10 a.m. here at Citrus Club, and I'm excited to learn more about solar. I want all of our realtor partners and realtor friends out there, the real estate community, to learn more too. And Manny's just one of those amazing human beings who always goes above and beyond. So I'm excited to work with him on this. Welcome, my friend. How you doing?
Thank you for having me on the show, and I'm excited to be doing this with these realtors next week on Wednesday. And it's an honor to be here and kind of share a little bit of this solar wealth with everybody. So there's a lot of great things happening, a lot of changes, and just ecstatic to be here. Thank you.
I'm excited, and solar is one of those. It's become a buzzword, but there's a whole real science behind it. I've watched you in action, so I'm very excited to learn more from you. And I think it's great because you've got some fans. I'm popping stuff up. Hey, Alex, what's up, buddy? And I think it's just important because there's a lot of misinformation out there. In my humble opinion, there's a lot of charlatans out there. And so it's very hard for the public to maneuver through this in a way that not only makes sense, but they feel like they can trust what's being said. And so that's where you come in. But before we take a deep dive into solar, let's learn more about Manny Garcia. Give us a little bit of your journey.
Yeah, no problem. So I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life. I have been in the hospitality business for over 2 decades, working with incredible brands like Marriott, Starwood back in the days, Sheraton. I worked in and lived in Bangkok for 3 years. So hospitality and just really being of service is something that's in my blood. And a couple of years ago, I actually decided to look into solar myself as a consumer. I mean, our company wasn't up and running that. And I went and filled out one of those forms online, right? And then I got bombarded with a bazillion calls. I started getting turned off with the whole idea. And then just people knocking on my door, they found out that I was interested. And I was like, wait a second, this is more of a hassle than anything. But I still wanted to go through the process. And I let like 4 or 5 different companies come to my home and give an assessment. And everybody was saying something different. And then I realized that there was no regulation in the state of Florida when it comes to solar. There is no licensing. There's no regulation. And then I did a bunch of research. And then I realized that if I did some things in my home first, like changing out some of my major appliances and things of that nature, I could put a system that's a little bit smaller in my home that gets me the power that I need, saves me some money in the long run. And so I went through that entire process and educated myself. Then about a year after, one of my dear friends who now is our partner, he's a land developer, Mrs. Lackus. He's working on this big project over by the UCF called the Grow Orlando, which is an incredible community with green areas, gardening, all kinds of cool things. And they realized, wait a second, there's no, sustainable energy component to this. We got all this, great infrastructure, but that's what we're missing. So we started talking, and here's the birth of American Clean Energy Solar. Now, since we do a lot of business with actual builders and the standards of quality and transparency are so big, we decided to take on regulation through education. So that's our motto in our company.
I love that.
Yeah. So, when we do our consultative approaches with our families, we tell them the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the fees associated, what it can and can't do. And we educate them. And we understand that might impact the sales process a little bit. It might take people a little bit longer to then pull the trigger because, we're generating questions within their head that then they need to research themselves. But we rather do it that way. So that they're educated and they can really get the right system that fits, that works. I'll tell you, the other day, about 2 months ago, we got a call from an older couple in Ocoee in their mid-80s, and they were just, unfortunately, they were bamboozled. They paid about twice as much for a system that they should have paid. The system is not working, and now we're going to try to help them to fix it, right? So there's really great people out there that are doing this the right way. There's a lot of people that aren't doing it the right way. So, we just want to educate.
It's interesting. Once you and I started talking about solar, obviously I've had an interest in it because my power bill is outrageous. I live in a 1960 ranch house. I think I have 2 air conditioners or at least 1 commercial grade. Like my power bill makes me want to cry every month. So it's been on my mind, but I have been fearful because I didn't know. Now, I've since met several people that I like in the industry, but I didn't have a close relationship like I have with you. And so it is so important, I think, for people to really evaluate who they're doing their business with in this, because of the fact that I met with a few people who pitched me, and I have to tell you that I had to shower afterward, because it was just, you left there going, I know I'm going to get screwed. And it's just an unfortunate thing. And I feel like that's where other people are when they're thinking about entertaining. Hey, I would like to have solar. I'd like to have renewable energy. I would like to be part of this, but man, I'm so scared I'm going to get screwed over.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's really 80% science, right? Depending on the size of the panels, depending on how many panels, and depending on how many sun hours, it's just math. These solar panels are going to produce X amount of power. So it's really simple, really, the process. The technology we have in place is best of the best. There's real engineering that goes into the projects. There's real permitting that goes into the project. There's a partnership that happens with the bank that's actually lending the money for the projects for families. And when you understand finance and you understand the numbers, it's a no-brainer. Right now, with the tools and the incentives out there by the government, people can actually put solar. They can get 40, 50, 60, 80, $100,000 of equipment, depending on how big they want to go, without a penny out of pocket. It just becomes a switch. Instead of paying their energy company, once everything is installed, they just start paying themselves. And what I really wanted to mention out here for anybody that's listening, that's interested, is, there's a lot of great resources out there. You can give good companies a call, and it's real simple. The software will show you what we can and can't do. Just be very transparent, with your questions in terms of cost. Know what the cost is cash versus financing, because there's a difference. And it's wonderful. I mean, in my case, in my home, if I were to live here for the next 20 years with my solar system, I'm going to save $100,000 compared to what I'm paying Duke Energy. And it's ridiculous. I mean,
it is. I think people are struggling with their power bills in general. And there's just so much politics out there. I had a few people comment about energy companies, not solar, but the big ones, before we went live too, when we posted. Let's talk about your expertise, because you mentioned something earlier. You gave an example of that 80-year-old couple, which is terrible. I happen to personally, and I won't use names, see a quote that you did, and my thought process watching back and forth how this works and how you really educated the potential client was amazing. I made some expletive and said, you're smart as heck. And I think that was so impressive. Not that I didn't know that you were impressive, but to listen to that and go, oh my God, not only did you explain it scientifically, you explained it in a way that the consumer can understand. And I think that's also one of the biggest problems, is communication in a way that the consumers can actually ingest and digest.
Yeah, I mean, most salespeople, they just want to go in real quick, go in for the kill, get the deal, and walk out, right? So what we try to do is really show the technology. The customer becomes a part of the design. They get to see where we're going to put the panels. They get to understand why we're putting them, where we're putting them on the roof. Because, for example, if you put panels on the north side of the roof, that side of the roof gets less sun exposure than the south side, right? So we kind of show them all those little nuances so that they understand. And depending on how big the roof is, you might have to put panels on the north side. But, again, it's just really educating them, explaining to them the why, right? So look, if you go solar, here's how much you're going to save, right? If we put panels here, here's why we do that. If you go with these types of panels versus these types of panels, here's why we do that. So, I mean, it really becomes a partnership. And the reason for that is, I mean, when you take a look at the major savings that a solar system can do for families, it's not really about saving some money. It's really about improving your net worth. Because think about somebody like me. If I were to take these savings over the course of 20 years and invest that extra money into an education for my kids, or into stocks, or into real estate or something else, it just really helps improve your bottom line, and it increases your net worth. And a lot of people don't understand finances. A lot of people don't understand money. Okay, great. I'm saving $150 a month by going solar, but what are you going to do with that 150? Put it into a different vehicle. 20 years from now, it'll have a major impact. So it's really about education, and transparency. And we lose deals sometimes to the competition, because we share with them exactly what it can and can't do. And they go, oh, well, this other company said that, I don't have to worry about any of those type of things. And we're going to, okay, well, at the end of the day, make your choice. It's fine. It's no problem. But education.
Education. All right, let's talk about our workshop. So Bootcamp, Solar Bootcamp. This one says for realtors, but it's specific to that particular industry. So we've had a bunch of people sign up. What can they expect? What's going to happen? Give them a little sneak peek of the Solar Bootcamp.
Yeah. So my wife is a realtor. I've been a realtor forever too, but not really in general real estate, more commercial and investments. And one of the things that I realized that there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of concern with realtors when they have to list or help somebody purchase a home with solar, because there's nuances there, right? If the solar system is leased, or if the solar system has a loan associated to it, what happens with that? Does it have to get paid off? How does it transfer over? So these are some of the things that we want to cover in the workshop, is to explain exactly, what happens in that process. The other thing too is that a solar system really truly does impact the value of residences. People don't know that, but it adds real value. In my case, in my home, our system is going to add about $40,000 to $50,000 of equity in the home because of the size of my system and how much energy I'm producing, right? So, and then on top of that, there's tax incentives, there's tax credits that the government is giving you to switch over. So, we want to educate these realtors so that when they have somebody who wants to sell a home with solar, or somebody that's interested in buying a home with solar, they know exactly, what to do and how to go through that process with them. And it's scary right now because there's a lot of appraisers that don't know how to appraise a home with solar. I was just having a conversation with a VP of one of the 10th largest banks here in the nation, mortgage brokers or lenders, I believe. And he was telling me that it's kind of like they, oh, we have a house with solar that we got to get a loan for. Fingers crossed, who's going to be the appraiser on it? Do they know what they're doing or not, right? So again, through education, I think that we can really help people understand what they can and can't do, create some awareness also within the appraisal community so that they can take those continuing education courses and get up to speed, because we're going to start to see more and more of this.
Absolutely. And I love that. As you were talking, I'm like, oh, that should be our next class, the Solar Bootcamp for appraisers.
Let's do it.
The appraisal business, because I know that they have an interest, but if you're not trained in it and you don't know what to look for and you don't understand the nuances and the minutia of what goes into it, then of course, how are you supposed to appraise? How are you supposed to understand how to include that in the appraisal? All right. So tell them the best way that they can reach you, and then tell them again about the event, the time and the date and the location.
Yeah, you got it. The best way to reach me is right through our website, AmericanCleanEnergySolar.com. I laugh all the time. We have the longest name in solar. So that's AmericanCleanEnergySolar.com. That's the best way. You can also find me on Manny Garcia online on most social media platforms, Manny Garcia online. And if you go to my website, it's a personal brand that I have. It's called unslackable.com. You can reach me there as well.
And then I have one last question. It's Women's History Month. You don't know about this question, by the way. Not that I, by the way, share many questions with my guests. It's just, it's all go with the flow. But it's Women's History Month, so I'm asking all the guests, when I say the word hero, what woman comes to mind for you?
I'll tell you, my mom comes to mind for me. And this might sound cliche or whatever, but my mom really suffered a lot, with us as kids. I was taken, by my dad. I was kidnapped by my dad when I was 5.5 years old, in the middle of a tragic accident that my sister had where she lost her arm. So her having to go through all that pain for all those years without me. And then when I was 11, I got reunited with her, and I saw her suffer through poverty and all kinds of other things, but still maintained a smile on her face. Is that person to take her shirt off her back and give it to somebody else. And still today at 78 years old, she lives in an apartment complex, and she cooks for all the other elderly ladies that have a hard time, walking around and stuff like that. She cooks for them and she feeds them. And she's just a servant-based, human being and a woman. And, women are so incredible, right? None of us would be here without women. Let's face it. Right. Amen. So, so my mom is my hero. And for all the women out there, thank you for what you do and for being strong, because we're better because of you.
Agreed. Well said. All right. American Clean so Americans.
American Clean Energy Solar, longest name in solar.
I am going to memorize that before Tuesday. Y'all register. It's on social media. I have an Eventbrite link, which I'll put in the comments. Several of you have asked questions. I'm going to have Manny go back in and answer you when we are finished. But please, if you are a realtor or in the real estate world, reach out to us. We'd love to see you at our event. So it's Solar Bootcamp for Realtors on Tuesday, March 22nd, 10 a.m. here.
The 23rd. Wednesday the 23rd.
Oh God, that's right. I keep saying the 22nd. Yeah. I have brain issues, not enough coffee. Wednesday, March 23rd at 10 a.m. here at Citrus Club. I'm super excited for it. Thank you, my friend, so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Be blessed.
Be blessed.